Where'd a walker go?
Darn it. Oh, yeah.
Oh, maybe that'll help a little bit. Really hope y'all
Alright,
can
y'all
hear
got
me.
that?
Yeah.
Common example of that, of course, is ice. But think about this.
Ice.
Lava is a liquid. It comes out of a volcano.
Long
When
live
it cools
the
down,
juice.
it freezes into a solid rock. So freezing doesn't necessarily have to be a very cold temperature. It's just the process of going from a high energy state liquid to a lower energy solid.
Alright, does that make sense? So like lava itself is liquid too, but technically the process of it turning into a rock is called freezing too. So it's from a liquid going into a solid. It doesn't necessarily have to be cold temperature. Yeah.
Alright, guys. Come on.
You sweating, nurse? Yeah.
She won't have said anything.
But she would end up with the
Come on. I'll be back.
Switch him out. Because you get on me for texting my mom. Is your name second?
Oh yeah. So does that make sense? So it doesn't have to necessarily be a cold temperature for it to be freezing. It's just the process of a liquid losing energy and turning it into a solid.
Now, there are some examples where something interesting happens, and we can skip over that middle phase and go directly from a solid to a gas.
Alright, so what happens when a solid skips the process of going into a liquid and turns directly into a gas? It's called, starts with S, learned about it last year. Turn it down. No, sublimation. Y'all remember? So, can you think of an example of a solid turning directly to a gas? Huh? Dry ice.
Oh.
Yeah. Alright.
Does anyone know what this is called? This is called sublimation. You may have
Alright, so hold on. I want y'all to write that down. So the process of a solid turning to a gas is sublimation.
What?
Sublimation is organic.
Put you some more. So are you like sure having that? Because I don't even know if I need to wait on you. Yeah, just we should. Huh? We should. We should be back. We should be back. I should be back.
Alright, y'all got that? So sublimation is the process of a solid turning into a gas.
Experience sublimation if you've ever seen dry ice. Dry ice is solid carbon dioxide. It's 110 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit, and it will go directly from a solid, which you can see here, into a gas. We can also go the other direction. We can go directly from a gas to a solid. Does anyone know what this is called?
Alright, does anybody know what it's called when a gas goes to a liquid?
Oh, me. A gas goes to a liquid?
Or I'm sorry, gas goes into a solid.
It's kind of.
I said that wrong.
What the heck?
Gas goes into a solid.
Oh, I don't know that. Oh,
This is called
Deposition.
deposition.
Okay, so the process of a solid going straight to a gas is sublimation, but the process of a gas going straight to a solid is deposition.
We need to write down.
Yes. So when a gas goes to a solid, that's deposition. When a gas goes to a solid, what is it? When a gas goes to a solid, it's deposition.
When are we presenting? Oh, I'm curious now.
You know,
When are we presenting? What is the
I bet we get extra credit for dressing up.
I'm gonna wear my suit.
I'll look at $75.
do we have to dress up like dress up or?
For what?
Like what is dressing up? Okay, for a girl, it's gonna be like either a dress, a skirt, you can wear dress pants, or like you know, yeah. So when you're like, oh yeah, like you wear those. What about someone show the khakis, what like that? Something that considered like.
I'm not going to try. I got some down.
Okay, y'all can change after. Guys, I'm good with dress pants or khakis, but no jeans or shorts.
Oh, like, you know what I'm gonna wear then? I'm gonna wear kind of like my ethnic dress, but instead of my blue tie, I'm wearing my black tie.
That works. Yeah.
What if you wore like jeans and a button-up shirt?
That's like neck big.
No, I'd rather.
I'm not gonna wear khakis.
Hey, I don't even care if it's like work khakis. You know what I'm talking about? Like I don't care. Like that's fine.
What about girls? So girls have to wear a dress.
Or dress pants or something like that.
What is it next week?
Okay, I don't have time for this. We'll talk about next time. Okay, we gotta get through this.
On the deposition, we see deposition occurring most frequently during the winter as frost, and that's because when water vapor molecules bump into the cold metal or cold glass, they skip right into the liquid phase, and instead of condensing into a liquid, they deposit into a solid ice. Now, if you were looking closely, you'll notice there is still room at the top of this thermometer for our energy to increase. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a little energy. And when we add our energy, the temperature increases. Our state of matter now changes into a plasma. You'll notice it's glowing. And you'll also notice that the electrons have detached from the protons, and the particles are moving very quickly.
Where?
This gives plasma two
No.
special properties.
No.
Plasma will take the shape of its container, and it will also take the
Yeah, because I'm
volume
doing
of
all
its
my
container.
stuff
So
online.
Alright, so. Okay.
Sorry, yes, ma'am.
Alright, the next thing I want y'all to write down is plasma. So plasma don't have a definite shape or definite volume, so it takes the shape of the container and it takes the volume of the container. What's some examples of plasma?
I know
Sun. Sun.
some stuff in your blood.
Yes. Lightning.
That too.
Okay.
Would you say what were the examples? I'm sorry. I'm just playing.
What said it?
Huh?
When did you tell her that? What?
I'm not talking.
When I told her what?
How you agree with
I'll talk
No,
to
but oh, yesterday at the school.
Was she asking that?
She's like, no, you can't do that. And it's like, yeah, but it's
No, it's not, no, it's just not.
I know. And I
You're,
Okay, y'all got this?
It is very much like a gas. However, it is considered electrically conductive.
Okay, so that's another thing, it's electrically conductive, what does that mean?
we can be
It can, which means what? It can carry, it's,
It's C-O-N.
it can carry what? Yes.
C-O-N-T-A-I-N-E-R.
Hey, don't open this door or that door.
C-O-N.
Don't open this door.
It's fine, but.
No, do not.
I can't help it, they don't got.
C-O-N. I just did it. Okay.
Don't open the door. Don't open
Get
the door.
up! I'm ready to pee. Get up, Ariana.
Open it.
It's fine, as long as they don't go crazy, yeah.
No, I'm gonna do it first. So
Okay.
I'm going Wednesday. I mean Monday, y'all.
Alright, y'all got that?
Yes, we did.
No.
Gases are not.
Did you say so?
Okay, I got it now.
Sure.
You can almost think of plasma as an energized gas. There are a few places that we can see plasma in nature. We can see it in the northern and southern lights, the auroras. We can also see it in lightning strikes. We also have a picture of the space shuttle re-entering Earth's atmosphere, and the energy that the spacecraft entering the atmosphere brings to the gases around it causes that gas to ionize and become a plasma. Those are pretty extreme cases, but you probably have some plasma in your classroom right now. So I want you to look around and figure out where you might have glowing, charged, energetic gas.
What?
All right, if you looked up and said the light bulbs, you are correct. Those long tubes of light bulb are actually filled with a gas, and when you turn on the light switch, it energizes.
Alright, so y'all ever like busted up in a light bulb?
No.
And that gassy looking stuff coming out like light? Yeah, that's plasma. Dude, are you really gonna put all of it back in? Don't break that stone with
I'll put it back together last time.
Those particles inside, and they glow. We also see that in neon lights. Neon is a gas that will glow red when it is energized and turned into a plasma. So when you see a neon sign, the only neon signs that are truly neon are glowing red. They're glowing in other colors because they're filled with another gas that has been energized.
Alright, so neon, it's only red. Okay, so like if you see like a neon light that has red in it, then that's actual neon. If you see a neon light and it's like purple or blue or something like that, it's just mixed with something else, so it's not like pure neon. Neon is red. Yeah. It's not actually.
Now, before we move to our final demonstration, there are a few things that I would like to talk about that from time to time can be a little bit confusing. So let's start with smoke and steam. Neither of these things are gases. Most gases, as we've noticed, are invisible. Smoke is made of tiny solid particles floating in the air. They are so small that they're actually able to float. And steam, along with clouds and fog, are tiny liquid droplets or tiny ice droplets that, again, are so small they are able to float. The other thing that I wanted to mention is gas. We fill up our car with gas all the time, and we've been talking about gases today. But the liquid that we fill up our car with is called gasoline, and we simply call it.
All right, so that's a common misconception. I don't know why, but a lot of times, like people think that the gas you put in your car is actually gas, like gasoline. Gasoline is not a gas. Gasoline is liquid, but it emits gas. Like the fumes that come out of your car, that's gas. Well, obviously, like fuel that you put in your car, that is a liquid. Okay.
Gas. Okay, sure. So try to keep that in mind. It can be a little bit confusing, especially since we never actually see what goes into our car. It goes directly from a pump through a hose into the gas tank. And if we don't see it, it's hard to know what's actually going in there. It is a liquid. You can see it here taking the shape of these things in these images. The last thing that we're going to do is take a look at some extreme conditions and see how states of matter behave. So as we're doing this, I want you to think about this phase change diagram where we saw solids melting into liquids, liquids evaporating into gases, gases condensing into liquids, and liquids freezing into solids, as well as solids subliming into gases, and gases depositing into solids. So what I want to do is I want to show you a liquid here. I'm going to give it a little bit of a shake so you can see it is in fact a liquid. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to talk amongst yourselves and figure out what you think this liquid is. All right, you've had a chance to make a few predictions about what that liquid might be. I'm going to give you a few more pieces of information that are very, very important. So we'll take its temperature. When you look at the readout, take a look at that negative sign. We're looking at negative 103 degrees. And that beeping sound that you heard is actually that thermometer saying this is as low as I can go. If that thermometer could be lower, it would actually be reading 320 degrees below zero. So if you were thinking this was water, it is definitely not water. Water will not be a liquid. 320 degrees below zero would be solid ice. So think about this. We take nitrogen gas, which is the most abundant gas in our atmosphere, cool it down to 320 degrees below zero, it will condense into a very, very cold liquid. So what we're looking at is the liquid nitrogen. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a balloon that has been filled with the oxygen and nitrogen that makes up our atmosphere, and we're going to put it into that container. And I want you to think for a moment what is going to happen to that balloon. So talk for a moment and make some predictions about what will happen to that balloon when you find the container.
You got the iPhone charger.
Okay, now that you've had a few moments to talk about it, let's take a look at what is going to happen.
Right now, folks, we're going to take this balloon full of nitrogen and dunk it inside the liquid nitrogen. So here we go. Now the balloon starts to get cold, and the air inside the balloon gets cold too. And those air molecules, they start to slow down. They don't bounce around as fast inside the balloon anymore. And the pressure inside the balloon starts to decrease. And it looks like the balloon is starting to deflate. But it's not leaking. That air is condensing into a liquid, a mixture of liquid nitrogen and liquid oxygen. If that seems strange, it should, because liquid nitrogen and liquid oxygen do not exist naturally on Earth. Just a few more seconds, I'm going to remove the balloon. I want you to look at the bottom, or you should notice. I'm saying this of liquid nitrogen mixed with liquid oxygen. What you also notice is that the balloon starts to go back to normal. That liquid starts to warm. It can't stay liquid here at room temperature, so it starts to go back to a gas, and it reinflates the balloon further on. In fact, in just a few more seconds, it will be nearly completely back to normal. Still a little bit of liquid in there. You might also notice it turning white around the outside of the bottom of it. That's because it gets so cold, it gives some ice which forms on the outside, kind of like ice would form on the outside of the Saturn V rocket during launch. Just a few more seconds, it's now going to be completely back to normal. And there you have it, folks. A little bit of liquid still inside as it runs around, and now completely reinforces the balloon back to normal.
All right, so in the span of about one.
Well, just shut up.
For real, like, I got this video turned on super loud right now, and I can't even hear it because y'all talking too much. That too, but I was able to shut your freaking mouth.
Half minutes, we saw gases getting so cold they condensed into a liquid. After they were removed from the liquid nitrogen, they warmed up, they evaporated back into a gas. We also saw something interesting. The water vapor in the room, as it bumped into the outside of the balloon, went through deposition and became a solid, that froth on the outside of that balloon. Well, that wraps up our time talking about states of matter. So I want to thank you for joining me today. From all of us at NASA and the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, have a great rest of your day. Bye, everybody.
The world, the whole universe is made up of.
Why are you laughing? Alright, I don't care if y'all continue your notes on the sheet of paper you already have or another one. We're about to watch a tutorial. I'm going to tell you what right now, okay? Not this. I don't know what you're talking about. Title it Mixtures and Pure Substance.
Welcome to
Mixtures and Pure Substance.
I'm sorry to think about that.
You told me after the birthday.
You're right.
Yes, I have.
I did the science fair, which was due for everybody.
Oh, what?
Mixture.
Hey, do you think that I should walk all the way to my old house
Yeah.
from my house?
How many hours is it?
244, 746 miles.
Where did you live at?
78 Arrowhead Drive, Stafford, Virginia.
West Virginia. Not your
Stafford, Virginia. Hold on.
Virginia. How many hours?
I don't like 244.
244
no.
hours.
10.1667 days.
Did you put walking or driving?
Walking.
Days?
Walking. What?
How many days?
10 point.
Driving there.
Mixtures and
1667.
Pure Substances, an online science tutorial for students in grade 8. By the end of this tutorial, you should be able to distinguish among pure elements, pure compounds, mixtures, and solutions. Here we see some crystals from the element osmium. This sample is extremely pure. Before you begin this tutorial, you should already be familiar with atoms and molecules. Remember that individual atoms represent elements, and that atoms combine to form molecules.
It's 254 to my mom's
And
house.
chemical properties,
Walking.
depending on their composition
Driving
and
would be.
arrangement. Here we see crystals of sugar, which form a pure compound composed of carbon, oxygen,
12.
and hydrogen.
Taking a
Alright, so
chain.
an atom, don't have to write this down, just explaining this. An atom is the smallest unit of matter. Multiple atoms combine to form elements, and then two or more elements, or two or more atoms of a substance.
She right about that. I can play with you. Please. You said I could do it. Chloe, stop messing up your paper. Alright, here, Nathan, don't get this back to Ariana.
Why?
Calling up people.
I need to stop messing.
Why?
Nathan, don't give her the pen. Just don't do that.
You do my picture.
No.
It's two people against one.
Yeah, but she's do my picture.
Just don't.
Excuse me. that's whatever you call that crumble.
He said, excuse me.
Okay, so I am just letting y'all know that I have already made your parents aware that
There's a test, yeah.
test is gonna be Friday. I sent out an email. I said you're getting your notes in class. So if we do not get through this, it's nobody's fault but your own, okay? I'm up here trying to give y'all this information for your test. I already know this crap, okay? I'm not getting up here to hear myself talk. I'm trying to give y'all your information for your test. So if you would pay attention and shut your mouth, I will give it to you, okay? All right, one more time. An atom, it's the smallest unit of matter, and then two or more atoms of a substance form a molecule.
As we begin, let's start by saying that our goal today is to distinguish between pure substances and mixed substances. A substance is just another way to say stuff or matter. So when you think about certain substances, do you think they are pure substances? Let's start definitions with a brief review of the most basic form of matter, the elements. Simply put, elements cannot be broken down without a loss of their properties. For example, hydrogen and oxygen are examples of elements. Hydrogen and oxygen cannot be broken down into other elements. Water is a compound. Water is composed of 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. Compounds, then, are substances composed of some combination of different elements. We can break the bonds in water to separate the individual atoms of hydrogen and oxygen. Click the breakdown button to show the
Alright, so I want y'all to write down the sentence at the bottom. I know it's hard to see. If you need to move up, you can. If you copy off somebody else, that's fine. But compounds can break down into elements. The elements cannot break down further without the loss of their properties. What that means is a compound is a combination of 2 or more elements. So they can break down just into elements, right? But once an element is broken, or a compound is broken down to an element, it can't break down any further, or it's no longer going to be what it is. Okay, so an element is a single substance. A compound is a combination of those substances, and they can be broken down. So, like, hydrogen is an element. It is what it is. But H2O, which is water, that's 2 atoms or 2 molecules of hydrogen and 1 of oxygen. That can be broken down into hydrogen and oxygen. Does that make sense? So like a compound, which is H2O, can be broken down into hydrogen and oxygen. But once it's broken down, it can be broken down into
Excuse me.
Do it again, Nathan.
I don't have the word. Excuse me.
Alright, y'all got that written down? Last sentence? Yes.
Oh my god, I got my thing. Oh my god.
We good on this? Yes, no,
Yeah.
we're done.
The decomposition of the compound water into its elements, oxygen and hydrogen. Click Reset to see it again. Click Next to continue.
Alright, so, did y'all see how that was? It's H2O atom, or compound. Like it has 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. So it can break down into the separate atoms. So once it does that, so
Let's practice. For this question, select the best answer that describes compounds and elements. When you're finished, click Submit.
alright, I'm gonna read each of these and you're gonna tell me the answer that best regards a compound and element, okay? An element can be broken down without losing its properties, but a compound can be broken down into elements. An element can be broken down into compounds because compounds are the smallest unit of substance. A compound is only composed